now. I just love the Daily Word. It's always got something powerful and insightful for me, for us. So that was another great one. So my friends, we're coming to
Really
the,
big today.
what's that?
Um, Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Um, we're coming to the end of this lesson. So this is the fifth of six lessons in the introductory correspondence course.
Oh,
So we have 28 through 32 here, and this is the end. And we'll see if we get to the end today, and that will prepare us for the sixth and final course in the or lesson in the beginner's course. Now there's another, I think it's 8 lessons in the advanced course. We can talk about whether we want to keep doing this after that or what. But for now, we're coming to the final paragraphs of the Overcomer section. Before we start and read paragraph 28, any thoughts or reflections that any of us had over the last week of the last week's work? Okay, then who will read for us paragraph 28?
I will.
Thank you, Leo.
Leo always does.
Why is it important that an overcomer identify himself only with the highest? Everyone grows to be like that which with which he identifies himself. The overcomer must then be wise in the matter of identification and must consciously unify and identify himself only with truth ideas. Many persons have a habit of identifying themselves with disease by using such an expression as my rheumatism, thus claiming and holding fast to the very appearance that they wish to overcome. The question of what one shall or shall not identify himself with is a very important one to the overcomer. He knows a great secret of help and deliverance when he is wise in choosing his thoughts and attitudes of mind.
All right, I think that's it. Okay, so thanks, Leo.
Welcome.
Any any reflections or thoughts on what we read here?
Well, I certainly concur with that. We often claim our illnesses without even thinking about it and without being conscious of my whatever, whatever. So it's always a good reminder.
Yeah, I was struck by that too. My rheumatism.
Well, we also do it to other people. How is your arthritis? How's your rheumatoid arthritis going? How are you
I
feeling?
don't
I
know
mean, it's
how to
just
change it, and I'm afraid I'll lose it if I start playing with it.
we do that unconsciously.
Yeah, it's not even that kind of insight. We also just will carelessly use it in the I am form. I'm angry, I'm upset, or I'm stupid, or you're stupid. And so, yes, there's power in our words. And we're often let me just own it for me. I'm often careless with my words.
I've tried to train myself instead of saying don't forget to say
Right.
remember,
Yeah.
remember to as opposed to don't forget to.
Yep.
I don't remember what it's called for the Buddhist phrase, but may I be peaceful, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be safe, maybe free from suffering. And I have taken to say, I am peaceful, I am happy, I am well. That pattern.
That's the
Good.
Yeah.
metta prayer. That's the Buddhist metta prayer.
And that's the unity affirmation work.
Mhm.
And welcome back, Della. I've missed you. Good to
Thank
see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I have friends that the first thing they want to tell you is how they feel, especially if they've had a headache all night or
Right.
can't get up in the morning, you know.
There's something in our humanity that um, fetishizes our negative experiences.
Mhm.
And I just my insight into that, it's an old childhood habit. It's not and it goes again to this category of unthinking use of language.
Yes.
So nothing wrong with it. And if we train ourselves, we can use these things when we notice them to flip them out of the negative and into the positive. As Della was saying, we can create affirmations over everything that we experience.
It could also be neurological, though. It can also be what's called a negativity bias. And that's just how we've incorporated it. But the negativity bias is something that we are, well, wired with. And then you
Yeah.
can unlearn it, which is what we're trying to do.
It's one of the reasons that it's a challenge to learn to do that because it is hardwired. The good news is the human brain is plastic and it's rewirable.
Which is
I'm,
amazing to think of, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
using my affirmation about situational awareness. And last week I could catch myself before the act many times about exactly this, the identification part. So I could put in the negative and overrule it to the positive. So affirmations to be alert for me work to give me just that little slice of time before my mouth start to speak. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had my first experience with this in 2017 when I had the unexpected medical event. And as it progressed, and it was becoming apparent that I was not going to be able to go back to work. And that was a snowball effect of a lot of things were going to go down, pretty fast. And it was really essential that I qualified for the short term disability. And the short term disability people want to hear that you are unwell, that you have complaints. And in the first conversation with the woman that called and said she was my caseworker or whatever they called her, and I'm still in my sort of unity mode. And she said, "Well, you don't sound very sick to me." And I said,
Thank you.
"Well, I guess that's a good thing." I said, "Except that I can't get out of bed and I can't drive and I can't go to work." I said, so she said, "Well, what's your diagnosis?" And I said, "Well, we're working on that. We don't have one yet." She said, "Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to get this going and into the system and start sending you money." And I would pray before we had a call. She was calling me once a week. And I would say, "God, I'm sorry. I need to sound negative. I need to sound scared. I need to sound sick. And I need to come up with, complaining. It was nobody that was out in that insurance world in those many years ago was wanting to hear the the positive thinking message and I am well and whole and healthy and I don't know what this is, but it's going to pass. I was learning how to become very fearful and negative and express it out loud because that's what this woman wanted to hear. And if I had been wealthy and could have just, tapped into my bank account, I like to think I would have been more, um, you know, stronger and stricter about what I said. But I was really afraid about paying the mortgage and money, and so it went on for about a year and a half. The meetings with her turned into once a month, but they still had to have that pitiful, pitiful tone to them, because she was the one that would sign off and say, "No, stop this. She's no longer sick. This is a, you know." So reading this today really reminded me of all of that. And then once it was over, I felt like I had like shaking off dust or something that I felt like, well, I can go back to some positive thinking and stop talking about how unwell I am. And so it was interesting, and it's a long time ago. But it's a different thing, and the society we live in, at least in that world, is set up for something other than positive thinking, for
Well,
sure.
it's the medical model, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's more than just the medical model, although it is the medical model, but it's a race consciousness that believes that things are broken and need to be fixed. And instead of seeing ourselves as whole, complete, and perfect, just the way God created us, as a matter of fact, we're perfect manifestations of God and the divine. We see ourselves as broken, mistaken, and in need of endless, constant fixing. And of course, the irony is we never get fixed in that consciousness. Because the goal is not to get fixed. The goal is to feel angry and scared and frightened.
I wonder if it would help you to address the thing in the third form, where I would say, my body can't go on. I have feelings of this and that, and I try to stand up, but the body says no. Something like that. I know it's more neutral, but and it's not pledging for support, but it is a right representation of your own idea. And I believe that is part of our life here, to be in truth. The
Yeah.
thing to overcome is our own fear for judgment of the other. And I think that should be addressed separately. So
Okay.
one is to be the witness of what the body is doing. And the other thing is that when I address the issue to someone else,
Leave it be.
that I can pledge for support, but to the higher party.
Yeah, so are you talking about, Leo, are you talking about the way we use language with respect to these things?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Michael.
So for example, rather than saying I have a cold, you can say I'm experiencing the symptoms of cold
Yeah,
because
yes,
the body feels what it feels, and there's no sense in pretending otherwise.
Yeah.
And yet the I am has still got potent it's a potent statement for ourselves. So there are ways, again, just by considering them, just by doing what you're doing, is stop and thinking, how can I express this in a way that is not about identity, not about who I am, but
Mhm.
just about a condition that I'm encountering as a human being.
Yeah. And you can still state everything that you come across. I can still say, yeah, I'm telling my body to get up, but now I get this symptom here, and it really gives me hurt. I try to lift the arm, and the arm says no.
Yeah,
Would be interesting if instead of saying I have COVID, saying my body has COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
By the way, I not call it COVID. I call it symptom of COVID because it's all makeup, and I cannot address that. So I call it symptom of COVID, and that covers a lot more. It also covers the fear mongering that's going on about it. It covers also all these ideas that you need to have injections and what so. Mouth, you have to have that. How you call that?
Mask.
Yeah, but I call it the mask that they put on dogs, you know.
Oh, right. Muscle.
A muzzle.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Well, the beauty of this work, from my perspective, among the many beauties, is that we can experiment. I mean, we can we can try different ways of expression and see which one resonates the most for ourselves and which one does our bodies respond to most powerfully. It's not like there's a one right way,
No.
and each of us may find one that resonates slightly better for me than rather for you, for example. And that's
True.
what we're looking for here is overcoming. How do we do that? The next two paragraphs actually are, as always, addressing some of the things that we just discussed. And so who would be willing to read 29 and 30?
I would.
I would. Okay.
Okay.
Those who drift with the limitations of race thought and follow the popular standards of thinking and living do not qualify as members of the body of Christ, nor do they receive the blessings of the overcomer. The overcomers are those who place themselves consciously in the truth of being and think the thoughts based on true ideas of God mind. These overcomers will make a new world, quote, new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. Through the overcomer's understanding and the use of truth, mankind is to be lifted into conscious unity with God. Shall I keep going?
Please.
The world is waiting for the manifestation of these sons of God who have the understanding, the faith, the courage, and the fearlessness to think, express, and manifest ideas that will establish an entirely new order in the earth, even the kingdom of heaven. The leaven is at work in the individual overcomer, and it will leaven the whole race. Great is the motive power back of the one who knows that his overcoming is not for his personal comfort and benefit alone, but for the uplift of the human family.
Hmm.
Thanks, Dalla.
Boy, do we need all these words in this time.
Yes.
Well, it is a rather bold statement by Mr. Fillmore or whoever it was that wrote this. What's your reaction to it? What did you hear?
It's challenging, and it's the thread we all need to hold on to.
What's the thread that you think that's referring to, Della?
Staying focused on the right things when it feels like chaos might be around us, either our personal health or political things or wars.
Is this what you're referring to? Through the overcomer's understanding and use of truth, we are to be lifted into conscious unity with God.
Yep.
To me, it comes to that phrase that Jesus was in the world, but not of the world.
Right.
And that first sentence that Della read was kind of, strong. Like, if you don't do this, if you follow popular standards of thinking and living, you're not going to qualify as the body of Christ. It's like, whoa. But of course, that's a consciousness thing, right? I mean, you're not, if you're involved in race thought and the limitations of race thought of thinking, you're not going to move to that place of Christ within you. You're going to be on the external conscious level of your being and not at the higher conscious level of your being.
Yeah, I was taken aback by the boldness of the statement as well. It's not normally this bold.
Right. Like,
Or maybe we just hear it this way because all the other stuff is just as bold. It just doesn't seem as, it's sort of like, get with it, people.
I would call it they go in the lowest gear possible. Because
Okay.
if people, all people are in our group, only a lot of people are not yet overcoming or starting to do that, but they still follow. And although their process is very slow because they follow race consciousness, they're still making progress because race consciousness makes progress through the actions of the forerunners.
Well, and
Be-
race
be-
consciousness is consciousness.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I took from this is that we have to aim for the highest consciousness that is known to us. And in that way, we raise the consciousness of all around us.
Yeah, to me, that's another bold statement here. And it's this last sentence. Great is the motive power back of the one who knows that his overcoming is not for personal comfort and benefit alone, but for the uplift of all of us. And that's a consciousness challenge for me, is to remember that my my I put quotes around the word my consciousness does not belong to me, but it is the consciousness of all of us in which I partake. And therefore, whatever it is that I, this individual person, contribute is part of the consciousness of all of us.
Oh, by joining a group like this, we already raising our consciousness because we accept each and everyone in this group. And by doing that, we not only recognize what we already know, because when we see any individual in this group, we recognize what we know. But by accepting them, we are open for the gifts they bring into this communion. So that for me has been a huge improvement of my life for the last year. Amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you all.
thank you. What I heard you say, Leo, is just another version of where two or more are gathered in the name of the Christ is there.
Amen.
Can we go
Yeah.
back and have somebody explain the words race thought? I feel like I've missed something.
Race thought I would call the mole that is available to all of us. So the total sum of consciousness of Mother Earth, if you like, the Mother God, because the Mother God is the one for me at least that is behind this body. This body was made by eons of development in consciousness of the Mother God. And in this lifetime, I lease this body to get experience in this lifetime. And by raising up this framework, I raise up the consciousness of all that it incorporates.
Fillmore kind of had a different, a slightly different take on that. So I have the revealing word here that he wrote, which is his dictionary, if you'd like me to read what he
Please.
says.
Sure.
It says race consciousness. The human race has formed laws of physical birth and death, laws of sickness and physical inability, laws of making food the source of bodily existence, laws that of mind that recognize no other source of existence except the physical. The sum total of these laws forms a race consciousness separate from and independent of creative mind. When creative mind sought to help men spiritually, the mind of the flesh opened it and made every effort to solve its problems in its own way. The great need of the human family is mind control. Jesus showed us that mastery is attained through realization of the power of spirit. So I interpret his race thought as that which humans have created since we've been on this earth trying to sort through what's going on. So it can be those things that those biases maybe would be a good way to say it, that we have societally picked up along the way, if that's fair to say. And he seems to go a little bit farther than this in saying that, we think that we believe in physical birth and death, laws of sickness and physical inability, laws of making food the source of existence. So, I mean, it's really our actual human existence sans any kind of divine intervention or awareness of divine consciousness. That's how I interpret what I just read.
Thanks, Claudia.
There's
Other
another
thought?
a
Go ahead.
shorter thing here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's called race mind. The totality of beliefs, thoughts, memories, feelings, and experiences of the race. Man has built into the race mind a consciousness of corruptible flesh instead of the inherent incorruptible substance of God mind.
Well, I agree with that, Claudia, but I read now reports in science where science comes to the metaphysical. And I am a real great fan of that because they are coming so close to the idea of spirit behind matter. They're coming so close. So I read all that stuff. There is a German doctor that has developed a new idea about what mechanisms the living cells in our body are capable of. And although we can say there is negativity in it, it is a great support for people that are in the process of recovering to know that the body cells have an own wisdom to support us in our ways when we go through through a rough patch. Thank you.
Thanks, Leo. Anybody else? Any more thoughts on Della's great question?
No, I don't know enough to respond to Della's question, but I do know that the sentence in this we just read, the leaven is at work in the individual overcomer, and it will leaven the whole race. And I think you've got to be kidding. And then in the annotations, he did back me up and says that people build this first for themselves, then more gradually for others. For before he has learned to build well for himself, he cannot really help others. And I seem to prefer thinking that I'm trying to help myself and become a better person than taking on this global idea that just by the amount of time and effort I put into prayers or meditation, whatever, that I'm a leaven in the human race. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think great minds and great teachers are doing that job by spreading what they believe and teaching us, me. But I don't think there's anything I'm doing inside my personal world that
You're
is.
kidding, Janet. You are a walking miracle.
That's
everyone,
different.
everyone you touch is changed by you being where you are.
Oh, Leo, I don't believe that. I just don't. But what I like, the part that it's okay to work on yourself and just do the best you can, and not be worrying about who I'm letting down out there.
Okay, I'll give you one then, Janet. Last week you told me you were reading I know you are watching the movies of Touched by an Angel, and I said I'm going to look at that, and I downloaded a few, and I saw three of them, and it solved a lot to me. So thank you, Janet.
Oh, well, that makes me happy because I hesitate to even tell people that because it's a very simplistic kind of a
Good.
But
place.
you 11 address something in
Well,
me.
okay, I'll accept that and thank you. Thank God for me bringing that up.
No, thank you, Janet.
Well, I think what we're being asked to consider here is that we have this power to be leaven, to use the terminology here, automatically, and we don't, as individuals, have any control over how others receive that, but it's still there. Everyone impacts everyone to some extent, and then the truth is that by virtue of being human, we impact the human mind. Think of it like this. There's 8 billion people on the planet right now, give or take. And think of that 8 billion, that those 8 billions of us as a single human mind. Just one human mind. That's what I think Charles is trying to get at here. There's a human consciousness it's just a product of what's going on right now. And we all participate in it because we're human. It's like you can't not be in the human consciousness. And by
So if
virtue,
your personal participation is not afraid, not hysterical, not, not going with the majority of the people that I know right now, just by being yourself and being part of that whole billions of people, you're impacting in some way with the positive thoughts and the lack of fearful thoughts. Is that what it turns out to be? That's the purpose of developing yourself
yeah,
because you bring to it a different perspective than maybe other people have.
right.
And you
Again,
don't have
that's
to say it out loud in your voice
right.
on a
Exactly. It's
stage.
automatic.
It kind of goes to when you first read that, I thought of the Dalai Lama, and I thought of all these wonderful people who meditate, and in their meditation, they lift up the consciousness of us all, the whole human race.
I do really.
And then what I heard Leo say about Janet brought it down to the micro, which is how many of us, we don't even know the impacts that we have, our kindness has on someone else at that time because we're not aware of it. It could be a smile, it could be, giving $5 to somebody who's on the street, it could be whatever, whatever. It could be a thank you note. But we certainly can measure when somebody does something kind for us and we know how we feel. And we certainly can measure when somebody doesn't do something kind or isn't kind or acts selfishly. So we see how that shifts the conscious. We can experience that in terms of the vibrations, if you will, of our life and probably a greater web. I'll put it that way. If that's just, so it's a macro thing, which is, yeah, we all should strive to be the leaven in the loaf in a Christ consciousness like Jesus all the time. However, it's a path. And if we can do random acts of kindness or kindness, then we will lift up the consciousness of the race.
Yeah, I thought only the people that were out there giving TED Talks were doing that. I thought you had to have a wide audience in order to feel that you got off the stage and you think, well, I just did a good thing. I'm glad I said all that. And so I really will have to ponder what we're talking about today because I think I haven't quite understood it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the the power to appreciate the collective subconscious is something we're just at the beginning of. There's people only started studying this in at the end of the 19th century. People started looking at, you'd start reading things about, the wisdom of mobs and those kinds of studies. And if you've ever been in a mob, you, if you've ever been in a situation where a group of people got panicked or angry together, you might recall that you lost your individual consciousness in that moment and you became absorbed in this collective and you had no individual choice for as long as whatever was going on lasted. And that was the first thing that people began to study to try to have an understanding of how the collective mind actually works. Because for the most part, we're not aware of it. We're just aware of, if we're lucky, we're aware of our own mind. Most people aren't even aware of our own minds. But there's an us. There's what I call we consciousness that is accessible and studyable. And Charles Fillmore had an insight into that way back 100 years ago.
And you don't need to know about it in order to participate. You can participate with what you just explained just by going about your business
It's
and not
automatic.
saying, I want to get into the collective subconscious and send
Yeah.
goodwill. You don't have to worry about that. You
It's on
just
the
do your
same-
own life.
It's on the same order of magnitude of God is here, whether I'm aware of it or not.
I call it radioactive. We are all radioactive. And how we use our transmission power is up to us. And the more we clean out the opposing forces, the more positive power is in our presence. And the more silence we can have, the more the indwelling powers we can use. That is my idea of my presence. And last week, I had a dark patch in with my family. Actually, they gave me a compliment, but they said, "You've been changed, Leo." And then they put some of their own interpretations of my presence to that. And it left me at first in a dark mood. But I had to go to the Dutch embassy for my passport renewal. And in the past, that dark mood would stay with me. But because of what I learned in participating in these groups, I could overcome that. And I got all the support that I needed at that government office. Although I made mistakes, they didn't turn me away. They lent a helping hand. They gave me the good advice, and within an hour, everything was fixed. So that was my overcoming this week. And the second time I came back, I made real contact with the government official as a human, not as an institute. It was just great, fulfilling. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Well said. Yeah.
Let's see if we can finish up this lesson here and read the last two paragraphs. Who would be willing to read 31 and 32?
I will.
Okay. Thank you.
When the overcomer knows the power of thought, he can readily understand that thought expressed in spoken or in written words is also powerful, and he will learn to consider carefully the words he uses. His conversation will no longer center in negative consciousness. He will not speak of conditions that he doesn't wish to see manifest, but he will speak of life and health. He will not complain, but will praise and bless God, the all good for the abundance of all things. Deuteronomy 28:47. The Israelites brought great afflictions on themselves by murmuring. By the same law, similar results follow complaints and fault finding today. The overcomer doesn't wait for appearances to testify to the goodness of God, but looks back of appearances to the eternal, enduring ideas. He knows that God is unchangeable and everlasting good, and so he gives thanks with faith and understanding. If sin seems powerful in his life, he overcomes it by acknowledging and by giving thanks that he is the sinless offspring of the perfect Father. If the effects of sin appear, he erases their appearance by knowing that sin has been wiped out of his consciousness by the knowledge of truth, and that its effect can no longer manifest in his life. Thoughts and words are the tools that God has given him to use in the building of his soul consciousness, in bringing to manifestation his perfect body, his perfect world and affairs.
Thanks,
Well,
Leo.
amen. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, that just happened last week with me.
Yes, I like what Leo, your experience, because isn't that true? You come in with an open, pleasant mind and you get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what the Daily Word said today, though. Treat everyone as you would like to be treated. Treat them as a part of you, as, and so that's what you did. You blessed the situation and it turned to the good. Isn't it amazing? What if it was just that simple? All we had to do is remember to ask. I mean, and why are we humans so headstrong that we don't get in the flow of, as Dorothy would say, I don't know, but God does. Why? I mean, I know I think I've said this in this group, but I think when we die, we're going to get up there or wherever we go and go, oh my God, I could have had that. It could have been that easy. I made it so difficult for myself.
Well, what I did in my dark patch, I blessed my Thai family. Piece by piece, every single individual that occurred to me. And when I had to come to that office, I was trembling, really. My body was shaking. It was amazing because there was a new me there. And I knew it, but I couldn't experience yet with the joyful because it was new. Yeah. But I got all the support in the world. Everything was going. Amazing. And I made mistakes. But the guy said, that's what I'm here for. Give the papers to me, I'll sort it out.
Wow.
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. The pictures on your photograph are just a millimeter short of the standard. I can go with it. I say, no, it's up to you. You tell me what is the best way. He said, best is you take new pictures. I say, okay, I'll do that. He says, well, I throw in another assignment for you. You better go to the post office too to buy some stamps for the return envelope. I said, I'll do that. I'll be back in a jiffy.
Wow.
It was just fun. It was just fun. Amazing.
Well, you got out of your own way.
But I was still trembling, huh? You see, for these passports, you now have to scan your fingerprints, and then if you have to put your finger in a specific place, your brain can think all of the things you want, but if you have to instruct your body to do something you're not used to, then you know in what kind of state you are. Yeah, I was overcoming at that moment, and it was totally new. It was totally new, and there was no insurance inside me that it would go okay, but I was totally open for any solution that would be offered to me. Thank you.
I
So-
find it curious when I go to the grocery store, for example, or I'm just standing in line somewhere to see how many people have neutral or frowns on their faces. And I just notice that and try to send positive thoughts to them. And there's somebody put something in a signature that I have in one of my email signatures that says, everyone you meet is facing a challenge you know nothing about. Be kind always.
Hmm. Good.
Della, you remind me of another incident that day because I had to go to the photographer, and they instructed me to look serious. And and then my standing was not right. I had to stoop. I had to go like that. And I had to hang my mouth a little bit more because that is the official standard for passports for Dutch people. Because I
Wow.
was smiling. No, I wasn't allowed to do that. No. Oh, anyway, it was fun. Thank you, Della.
Can I add something here? I'm most impressed in.
Uh-oh.
You're
Can't
too
hear
close
you.
to the microphone, Diane. You are too close to the microphone. And
Lost
then
you.
yeah. Then if the voice comes on too strong, the automatic volume kicks in. That's all.
I have something on my screen that isn't interfering. Okay. Okay. Thoughts and words are the tools that God has given us to build our soul consciousness, and that brings to manifestation his perfect body. That's being mindful of being positive. Thoughts and words are our tools. That's how we build our soul consciousness with positivity. Um, I'm glad that thought was just brought forward because it's impressive to me. Thoughts and words are our tools to build our soul consciousness. And that does add to race consciousness for sure. Thank you. No response.
No, thank you. Any other thoughts and words?
Yes. um, I guess it's a quote from Gandhi. I just have this taped up on my bookcase. Quote, keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny.
Oh. Mm. Good one.
1869 to 1948, Gandhi.
Thanks, Della.
And I would add gratitude.
So we've come to the end of the 5th lesson here. And I don't want to start the next one with just a few minutes left. So I'd like to, for those of you who would like to just hang out for the balance of the time to 9:30 here, California time, just thoughts that you might have about what's been going on for the last 9 months, 10 months now. We've been doing this. We started in January. It's now October. And we may finish the first 6 lessons by the end of the year. Who knows?
Then can we start over?
Well,
Yeah, I'm
then
going to need to at the very beginning.
we can always do that, or we can go to the advanced lessons. The advanced lessons. That's what we did with in the Mark Hicks group that Leo and I are part of. But we get to do whatever we want. So
Well, I want to pause here and give a shout out to Esther. Hi, Esther. Well,
Marty,
muted.
what's the next one
anyway.
about?
what's
So
that?
one of the things that I was going to say is sometimes when I can't get myself out of that space of negativity or foreboding or whatever, things happen and it takes you a while to move out of the space into a more positive frame. That's when I go to silent unity. That's when I will contact silent unity and bring in the prayer group and kind of say, I usually do it online. I usually submit my prayers online, but I almost feel lifted up immediately to know that I have turned this over and not dwelling in it. And I know Marty will say, because he and I are both Emmett fans, the golden key is at work here. And of course, that's what you try to do. But sometimes that little mind, that little squirrel mind tries to draw you back in. But so anyway, that's what I do.
Nice to hear it because I've never contacted Silent Unity.
And it's really easy to do online. They have a prayer request form. And if you put your name and your email address, they actually will email you back and give you an affirmation to say. So it makes it very easy. And it's easy to say, when somebody is facing challenges, I'll pray with you for that and I'll reach out to Silent Unity. And I know that, the big guns are at work.
Well, and the truth is, since we're talking about practical Christianity here, the truth is we can reach out to any one of us and ask for prayer support because we're not alone. And who here would turn down anybody's request that would you pray with me? You don't have to answer that. But there
Claudia,
again,
do you pray for outcomes when you're doing prayers for other people? Do you put in what they say they're praying, what they want help with, or do you just leave it open-ended?
Well,
That you're praying for God's will.
this yesterday somebody
This ends at
was
9:30.
facing prosperity challenges.
Ends at
So
9:30.
I did pray for prosperity. Now, prosperity can show up in a lot of different forms, but I did pray for prosperity for her. I pray regularly for someone for peace in their relationships. And
But you're not praying for someone to find an apartment. I mean, that's what the people that ask me to pray for things, they specifically know what they want. And I say, I'm not going to do that. I'll pray for you. What you just said, abundance, prosperity, the right place for you to live will come if you stay open-minded about it. But I am not asking God to send you an apartment on such and such a street because it just defeats the purpose here.
That's called outlining. And it's not a good idea to tell God what you want, but or tell the universe or however you want to put it. But yeah, no, I keep it pretty general,
but you can tell God specifics. I mean, God's not a person, so God doesn't go, well, you shouldn't do that.
Right.
Well, what they used to tell us and in the church that some of us belong to is to make sure to put this God or something better. So you always leave it open for something even better than what your little human mind had in mind.
And that is when I pray, I always say that or something better may come. And that's how I conclude my prayer. Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, and I've trained myself through unity teachings to make all my prayers gratitude prayers. Thank you, God, for. Thank you, God, for the prosperity for this soul. Thank you, God, for healing in relationship. Thank you, God, for peace in the world. Whatever it is, I think we learned that in 4T. I don't remember where I specifically first heard that when I started going to Unity, but that was early on.
I think
Unity.
that is a 4T thing.
Okay.
Marty?
Yeah.
You asked earlier, what does this group mean, or how are we feeling about it? And honestly, Vilden and I say it's time to go to church. That's sure for me, and for us. This is going to church on Sunday, and it keeps me learning, and it keeps me growing, and it keeps me reminded of truth. So, and that's a great value to us.
Thank you.
I have 2 cents to say here too. Last weekend, I was in Mandeville, Louisiana, with my sister, and her son, my nephew. My sister had decided to marry a fellow that was Jewish, and so I sort of thought that she had adopted the Jewish feelings. But as I began to talk with my nephew and so forth, and about what we were doing here, my nephew was very interested in this, and it turns out that he's not really dialed in very much to the Judaism at all, and my sister still remembers all the training and so forth that we both had as we went up through Unity. So I promised to send them the links and so forth, but I haven't done it yet.
Oh,
Come on now, Velden.
How old is he, Veldon? Is he a kid?
No, he's like 46.
Oh,
my
wow.
nephew is 46.
Wow. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we thought so.
I think so.
Well, my friends, we're over time, so we're going to wrap it up. So thanks, everybody, and look forward to starting our next lesson next week. And as
What is the
always,
lesson, Marty? What is it about?
it's called demonstration.
Demonstration. Okay.
Demonstration, which is
Annotation.
it's so Unity to save that one to last. I love it. So everything
Let's all have a demonstration this week and bring it next Sunday.
there you go. So yes, so focus on, if you choose, what is it that you would like to demonstrate that you haven't done yet, or that you've been working on and hasn't come yet. And let's close with our prayer for protection together. The light
of God
surrounds
surrounds us.
Surrounds
The
us.
The
love
love
of
of God
enfolds us.
enfolds us.
Fills us.
The power of
Power of
God
God
protects
protects
us.
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 The
the
presence
Presence
of
of
God
God watches over
us.
us.
Over us.
Wherever we are,
Wherever we are,
God is.
God is,
It
and
is.
all
is
is
well.
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 Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
Esther.
Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you, Esther, Ben.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty, as always.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nice seeing you, Della.
Yeah, welcome
Stella,
back.
great to see you.